Hello, welcome to the Fluency First podcast. I'm here with my wife, Jean.
Hello.
Let me introduce you. So everyone, Jean.
Hello, I'm Jean.
And Jean, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Many of you have been asking to, see a video with her. So here it is. And if you're new around here, this is an English language learning podcast where words will always be at the bottom of the screen, and occasionally you will see words above here that potentially you might not know. So where do we start? I don't have a book, actually. I don't have any questions, everyone. But this is the introduction to a video we did in September.
Right.
In the Yorkshire Dales. So we will cut to that pretty soon. But darling, how are you feeling being on our podcast? Let's call it our podcast now.
I'm very nervous.
Very nervous.
Because they know you, but they don't know me.
Yeah.
So please be nice.
Oh, but yeah, everyone's lovely, darling. Everyone's lovely. Yeah. And if they're not, that's okay too,
yeah,
you know?
Right.
Like I say about mosquitoes, do you remember? It's a bit of a long story. You know what, everyone? I will do bonus material for Patreon members, and we will talk about how we met, us moving to the UK, and my special mosquito story. All right, I think we should just cut straight to the interview we did in September. What do you think, darling?
Yeah. Sounds great. Hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah. So what did you do yesterday?
Yesterday, we went to Malham.
Right, because we were together.
We were together right now on a very short trip around the UK. But yesterday we went to Malham Cove, which is in...
Malham.
But wait.
Yorkshire Dales.
Right, that's it. Yorkshire Dales.
Right, we're going to dive into the thick of it, into the deep end. Right. Because my first question is about... Well, my first topic is about your childhood and upbringing, and the question that you hate being asked, which is, where are you from? And that sometimes that's upsetting for you, but it's also, do you want to talk about, talk about why that question.
Right, so first of all, when someone does ask me that question, I kind of have this 5-second pause in my brain, and I kind of freeze, basically. I think it's just because I don't know how to answer that. Because if I give them my answer, the person who asked tend to have a look on their face. It's like, oh, that's not the answer I was expecting, kind of, and then they will go on to ask.
So, for example, if you say Watford.
Right. If I say, oh, I'm from down south, from Watford, and they're like, oh, but where are you really from?
Right.
So that always gets me.
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right. Well, would you mind saying then at least, telling us a little bit about where you were born, perhaps, and your story, right. Because you do have a fascinating story.
I do, right. So I was born in Korea and then raised in Germany and the UK.
There you go. That's all you would have to say.
Right.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's all you would have to say to someone.
Right.
Yeah. So you said you moved to Germany first when you were young.
Yep.
How old were you? What was it like? Tell us a bit about it.
I think I was maybe 6 or 7 when we moved to Germany. And that was because my dad was relocated to Germany. And but before then, I didn't know that there was another country outside of Korea. I didn't know.
I think you were 6, weren't you?
Yeah, because it was the first year of primary school.
Wow.
So I think I did maybe experience like the first semester in a Korean primary school, and then we moved to Germany, and that was quite. I guess it was fun for me, really, because I was young.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that they spoke a different language. I think I wasn't aware that I didn't understand my friends then. I think I was just like, I was playing with my classmates and even after school. And then at some point, I was able to speak German.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Wunderbar. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, wunderbar.
So do you remember anything about your first impressions of Germany?
Oh, yeah. It was a big shock for me because at the time in Korea, we were living in a flat in like a big concrete apartment block, which is quite common in Korea. And then when we moved, our house was a terraced house, right? But it was very narrow, but had, I would say, like 7 floors in total, including the basement and the attic. But the landing was
7 floors?
Yeah, but the landing was
It's like a hotel.
yeah. But it was very tiny, as in, like, one landing you have the two bedrooms, and you go up, and then there's the dining room or the living room and everything. But I remember going in and running up and down the stairs and shouting and basically asking my parents whether this is all for us, and also our things hadn't arrived back then, so it was just a big empty house, lots of stairs, and we could be as loud as we wanted to be.
Wow.
So it was really, really fun, I think.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Of course, later on, you moved to the UK from Germany. At, I think you told me, age 9?
Yeah, it was towards the end of year 4.
Okay.
So I must have been 9.
I think we worked out you were 9.
Yeah.
And so what was that transition like? There's a plane. I hope that doesn't affect the audio, everyone.
Anyway, so when we moved to the UK, that's when I was a little bit more aware of the fact that I didn't speak the language. I was the new kid who, couldn't communicate in class.
Wow.
But the primary school that I was enrolled at were really lovely.
That's nice.
And they insisted that I joined at the end of year 4, just before the summer holidays, so that I get to know my friends, and also that I can spend the summer playing with my friends outside, during the summer holidays. So that was really lovely. And I think I do I have a really vivid memory of my classmate lending me a pen. And she was just gesturing because she knew I didn't understand. And she wanted to say that, please take care of my pen. But she just went like this, grabbed the pen, looked at me, and she goes, no. I was like, oh, okay. But then she meant, please don't put my pen in your mouth.
Strange.
Yeah, but, in primary school, everyone had their own handwriting pens.
Of course.
So, I eventually understood, and I was really protective of my pens as well. Anyway.
I just wanted to stop everyone and show you the view, turn it around to see what we can see. You can see this beautiful town. It's a village, actually, isn't it? Is it town?
It's a town. It's an historic market town.
It's a historic market town called Settle. I'll just show you what it looks like because it's quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah, so this is what we can see at the moment, and I just thought you might like to see that. Let's continue with the podcast. My next question is again about the UK. Did you feel different to the other kids at school in the UK, and how did you adapt? What did you do?
I think I definitely did feel different because, especially in primary school, whenever everyone in my class had English classes, I had an EAL teacher who took me to the school library, and I had a one-on-one lesson where...
Every day?
Yeah, basically every English lesson, up until the point that I was able to follow the mainstream curriculum. But I remember learning English through German because my EAL teacher was also German. So that was...
That's quite fortunate in a way, isn't it? That your EAL teacher, right, English as an additional language, that was also my job for a long time, could speak German. Wow.
And the fact is, the school principal, the head teacher, he specifically approached this parent at school who was German.
Yeah.
So he asked her to be my EL teacher.
Oh.
Yeah.
God, that's so good. And what about when you went to, kind of secondary school?
I think when I was in secondary school, I think that's when I became more aware of the cultural differences, how things are different in the house, the things that my friends did on the weekends were very different to the things I did with my family on the weekend.
Can you be more specific? Because I don't know what I did even on the weekend when I was young. Do you mean like a Sunday roast?
Yeah.
Yeah, because as you know, my mum always makes a Sunday roast dinner every Sunday without fail, with a lot of the family members coming round.
Right.
But what things are you talking about?
Whereas for me,
Yeah.
my parents were quite heavily involved in the Korean expat community. So on the weekends, we will meet up with other Koreans. We would have barbecues, but then of course it would be, mainly Korean food. For example, we didn't celebrate Pancake Day.
You're quite upset about that.
I was quite upset about it. I mean, I found out probably like the day after when my friends would say, "Oh, I had pancakes yesterday at home." So then I asked my mum, after the day after the Pancake Day, that we need to go and get pancakes. So yeah.
Do you think that, because when you're young, you don't really care much about preserving your culture, or I think it's just more about fitting in, isn't it? When you're young, you just want to fit in with your peers, people at school, and that goes for everyone at school, really.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think there was a time when it was probably after Christmas holiday, and I went back to school, and this was when I was in secondary school, and they were sharing what they got for Christmas, and they were listing all these things, and I was like, "Oh, I just got one," and they're like, "You got one present?" I was like, "Yeah." That was that. Like Christmas wasn't really a big thing in Korea back then.
Right.
So
well, even now in Korea, it's not the same as Korea has its own traditions and celebrations, right? That are huge and last for days, like Chuseok.
Yeah, right. So they have different cultural celebrations, right? Festivals and so on. So for example, for Christmas, I remember eventually, like, I convinced my parents to get a bigger Christmas tree, artificial one, right?
As long as you put it up.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be me, getting ready 1st of December and insisting that we put our one little Christmas presents under the tree and making sure that we open on the Christmas day. So, I think that was so that's quite different.
So you may have seen we have switched sides. That's just because my arm was aching because I was holding the camera. I do apologize. My last question for this section is, are there any funny or memorable childhood stories you would like to share?
Oh, I do have a really kind of funny story. When I was in primary school, I think I was in year 5. My cousins were, and my cousins and my aunt, they were coming over to visit us. And I was trying to explain to my friends back then, my cousins and my aunt are coming and they're going to stay with us. But the thing is, in Korean, I knew the word, right? As in what you call them, like 사촌 and 큰엄마, which is aunt. But what I had done is I had done a direct translation. And in Korean, she was my 둘째 큰엄마, which directly translates to my second big mum. So I remember during break time, I was telling my friend, oh yeah, my cousins and my second big mum's coming.
My second big mum?
My
She's
second
huge.
big mum. My second big mum, and they're staying with us. And I remember my friend being really shocked, and she was like, oh, is your mum okay with that? You know, is she okay that your second big mum's coming? So they must have thought that it was my dad's ex-wife. So
Maybe.
yeah, so that was quite interesting. And even now when I think about it, I do find it quite funny. Yeah.
Absolutely. What was the blah 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 about?
Sorry.
I do that a lot, actually, everyone. So I don't know if I mentioned, but Jean is a qualified English language teacher as well as a qualified primary school teacher. So I just thought we'd talk about that for a short time. First question, what inspired you to become a teacher?
I think the whole experience of having that Yale teacher during the English classes, you know, when I couldn't speak English, I think that was a trigger for me. But I think I didn't realize it until I was actually at uni in my course, like why I had done that. Because there was a time when they were going around in our lecture, you know, sharing, you know, why did you go into this and things like that. And it was like a light bulb moment, you know. I was like, oh, this is why I have this experience, a positive experience. And I think that's the reason why I wanted to study TESOL at uni.
Okay, let's move on to some deeper questions. I've titled this reflective/deeper questions. So if you've seen my other videos, my other podcast videos, you'll know that I like asking my guests just deeper questions about life and stuff. Shall we turn around so people can see the beautiful view? Let's have a look. It always looks better in real life, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can't really quite capture it.
You can't. But anyway, we'll continue. So my first question is, how has moving between cultures shaped your identity? It's a big question.
That is a big question. Well, I would say it has probably fractured my identity.
Oh, really? So it hasn't shaped it, it's broken it.
Yes, but I think I'm in the process of piecing things together now.
Yeah, you said it's like that Japanese thing of like putting gold in a bowl, you know, what's it called?
Kintsugi, I think.
Kintsugi?
Kintsugi, I don't know.
We'll check that
But
out.
what I mean is, like I said, how my identity was fractured. I think because I was kind of confused growing up in these two very different cultures, I think I struggled to really identify with either one of them, really. But I think right now I'm in the process of understanding, you know, and appreciating these cultural differences and
Putting the pieces back together.
Exactly, and hopefully it will be as beautiful as the Japanese pottery.
I'm sure it will be. Yeah, because like Korea is all about the collective, isn't it? And I guess the Western world is very much about the individual identity and doing things on your own, having your own thing. Right? Yeah,
I actually have an experience of going to Korea as a visiting student when I was in university. And I remember I was at this family dinner at a barbecue restaurant, and I was a vegetarian at the time. So I didn't really want to, you know, although they did have, you know, vegetables that you could grill, but I didn't really want to have anything. But I remember my uncle getting quite upset and angry that I wasn't eating at all. And he kind of told me off, saying, you know, we're having this lovely meal together as a family. So he was saying, kind of insisting that I should, you know.
Didn't you just say you were vegetarian?
I did, but they didn't quite understand it because that concept of being a vegetarian was quite new, I think, in Korea.
Well, it just didn't exist.
Right. And
did it?
especially for like my parents' generation,
Yeah.
you know, they would.
Back then, you know, you should
baffled.
just be grateful to have food in a way.
Right, yeah.
You know,
for them, you know,
Yeah,
whatever you get, you should just be grateful.
yeah.
Right. And
That's sheep staring
I
at
think
me.
we have an audience.
We have a lovely audience
Yeah.
here, everyone. Okay, so do you feel more British, Korean, German, or a mix between all of them, or what?
I think I'm definitely a mix between British and Korean,
Okay, cool.
but not German.
Yeah.
I was too little and not really immersed in the culture to be German. I think I kind of felt that I didn't fit in growing up in the UK.
Yeah.
And growing up, my parents instilled the Korean culture in our household. And so it was very important that we only spoke Korean in the house with the parents, with my sister. So even when my mom was downstairs and she heard us speaking English upstairs, she'd be like, "No English, speak Korean." You know?
Really?
Yeah. So that was quite big. So then for me, going from, you know, speaking only Korean, having Korean meals at home, and then going to school, talking to my friends, and that was quite...
But it's interesting because you tend to speak English with your sister, right? Or what do you prefer? Do you prefer Korean, English, or a mix?
I think I do prefer English. I think I do feel a little bit more comfortable speaking in English, but there are certain words or emotions that I can't quite express in English, and I would just use that like one or two words, because I even ask you sometimes like, oh, how would I say this word in English, wouldn't I?
I think it's called code switching, that.
Is it?
I don't know. I'll have to either check it or delete this.
Okay.
So what lessons did you learn from growing up between different countries?
I don't think I knew back then that I've learned anything, but now as an adult, I definitely come to understand that it's important to embrace the cultures that you're kind of exposed to, because for so long, I think I was against kind of...
Like anti-Korea.
Yeah, in a way, but it's not because I didn't like Korea. I think it was the struggle that I had internally, you know, just or more mentally, where I'm not quite British, fully British. I'm not quite fully Korean either. So I think I was kind of stuck in that no man's land between these two cultures. So, but now that I am kind of more accepting of the two cultures, I think the overall lesson that I've learned is that, you know, it's a fantastic privilege to be raised in two cultures.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you only have a British passport.
Yeah.
So, but you're ethnically Korean.
Right.
So it must be difficult. You can't get a Korean passport, can you? Or can you?
I believe I can, but I need to renounce my British citizenship, I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, you have a right to both, you know, identities and have a right to embrace both of them and take them on as your own.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what I am doing now.
Good.
Like, you know, I'm starting to cook more Korean meals at home, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Recently we got a rice cooker.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, next question. If you could go back and give your teenage self some advice, what would you say?
I think I would tell myself to be a bit more confident, especially when I was, later years in secondary school. I think I kind of shriveled into tiny person, you know, just, you know.
You didn't want to be seen.
Yeah, I think I really didn't want to stand out among my year group.
I think that's because you kind of naturally stood out, you know,
think
because
that
you were
was
one of the
a-
only Koreans or kind of Asian-looking people
Right,
in
yeah.
your. How many kind of Koreans or Chinese students or were in your secondary school?
Maybe 3 in total, I think. And it was a really big school. So I think I didn't want to stand out. And whenever they did the register, I'm like, oh, no, they're going to say my name wrong. And, you know, the spelling's different, so they don't know how to pronounce it. And I think that's why eventually, as I became more self-conscious, I think I became really quiet. So although I do want to eventually go to like a reunion with my year group.
Do
right?
you?
I do want to see where everyone ended up, but
I'm not sure I want to do that.
I don't think they will recognize me just because how I carry myself now.
That's great. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So how do you think your experiences have shaped the way you approach life now?
I think I'm a little bit more aware and conscious of all the different cultural aspects, and also appreciative of it, especially being away from the UK for 12 years and coming back now, and the fact that everyone is so aware of the whole K-pop phenomenon, right? So the K-culture phenomenon. So I'm very grateful that they know where it is, and they know, well, potentially they know how Korean even sounds like.
Yeah? People are trying to study Korean more and more, and
Yeah.
now there's the K-pop Demon Hunters. I don't know if your children or whoever is watching, if you've seen that, but you will have certainly heard the famous songs.
Yeah.
My next question is, what does home mean to you?
Well, for a very long time, whenever I heard the word home, I had this mental image of the childhood home in Watford. You know, I just, you know, the smell of the cooking and my parents and just our living room and everything. I could walk through it, but that is not my home anymore.
No.
No, it's not.
You live with me, actually.
Yeah, I know. And it is, now we're just creating building our own home. So yeah, that's changed.
I do know what you mean, though, because my family home, in a way, is still my home. But yeah.
I think it's also because all the childhood memories are associated with that house for me.
Right.
So yeah, it was a very lovely childhood memory.
Well, that's good. Aw. Should we keep on walking?
Yes.
Come on then. Okay, next one is looking ahead. What kind of life do you hope? I'm falling over. What kind of life do you hope we will create in the future? Let's walk carefully because there's loads of stones on the floor, everyone. So I do apologise.
Well, I hope we have a culturally rich family.
Oh, culturally rich. Can't we just be rich instead?
No, but I want us.
I'm just joking, everyone. I don't want to be rich.
No, what I mean is, just because, you know, we have this privilege of, you know, you also knowing the Korean culture, and
Right, because I was in Korea for 10 years.
right, and also, I mean, even you know more historical facts about Korea than I do, right? Right. So I wish and I hope that, you know, in our household, you know, we embrace the differences, and also we educate our kids about, you know, how it's important to be aware of your different cultures, but also appreciating it and celebrating it, really, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. Means you get more things to celebrate,
Right.
you know? So that would be quite fun.
Yeah, more reasons to have lots of delicious food, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have any... How do you picture our life?
Well, this isn't my interview, darling.
That is very true.
Yeah, I picture our life. I'd like to have a happy, simple life, really. I don't need anything particularly.
It kind of sounds like what Ian was saying.
Why, what was he saying?
I think it was the holiday episode where he said he doesn't need anything.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, I would like us to live a simple but happy life. And that's about it. Like these walks like today are just some of the things that I love doing, and it's free. You know, if any of you come to England, I highly recommend you visit the Yorkshire Dales. It's a really lovely part of the country. Anyway, all right, we've come to the end of Jean's short episode now, and of course it is challenge time. Okay, so let's start. I will say 2 things and you will choose one.
Okay.
Ready? Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Does that have anything to do with me by any chance?
Well, yes, I am heavily influenced by you because you do love your coffee.
Yeah, I think I actually prefer coffee over tea nowadays, despite being British. But, you know, a lot of people think that British people only drink tea all the time, and some people do. But some people don't drink tea at all, like Elliot, for example.
Right.
Elliot, if you're new on the channel, I filmed with my friend Elliot. Anyway, he doesn't like tea.
But like even for me, I do prefer not just black tea, but I do prefer like herbal teas. So it's not,
But a lot of people do. My nana prefers herbal teas. My mum has Lady Grey, to be fair. Maybe we could do an entire podcast episode on cultural insights, like tea.
Yeah, that will be good.
British food. All right, next up, cats or dogs?
Dogs. I've always been a dog person.
It's difficult for me because I like both.
Yeah,
I've had cats and dogs in my life. Next, summer or winter?
I do like winter over here in the UK because you get snow and it's all beautiful. And actually, I do like how dark it gets.
Really?
Yeah. Just because it gives you a reason to, you know, curl up in front of the fireplace with a blanket and with a nice cup of maybe coffee or hot chocolate. Yeah.
I think I'd choose summer.
Really? Even though you burn easily?
Well, British summer. Not, you know, so it's not that hot or sunny, is it? Next, the city or countryside?
I think I've always been a countryside person, I would say.
Country girl.
Yeah, kind of. But I do enjoy being in the city where you can walk to all the galleries and museums. So a little bit of both.
Okay, I'm same. I'm country boy, really. Countryside. And last one, Korea or the UK? Ooh.
Now
it was
that's
leading
hard.
up to a big question, you see.
Oh gosh, I don't think I can just pick one or the other. But I would say the UK for now because I do love our walks in Lake District, the Peaks. The Peak District, and also looking around here in Yorkshire Dales. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. If you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Now, I think I am kind of leaning towards bibimbap, Korean meal, the dish.
Do you want to explain what that is?
You have rice and it's topped with different types of vegetables, meat, and a fried egg. Yeah.
Fried egg. And you put sauce in it.
Right. Just because you can pick and choose what type of vegetable you want, or even if you want the meat or not. So I thought that would be like a good balance of meat and healthy vegetables.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what my meal would be. What do you think my meal would be?
Sausage and cheese.
No, it's a dish, darling. not just...
I think maybe Sunday roast.
No, not every day. I think some type of Japanese food.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure what. So someone is mowing their lawn down there, so we've decided to stay up here. The next question is, if you could swap lives with me for a day, what's the first thing you'd do?
I think I would go into your office and kind of organize it a little bit. I'm not saying it's messy.
There is such a thing as organised mess, darling.
Right. Just because I'm not allowed in your office.
Well, no, you are allowed, but I don't want you to
to.
clean it and
Right.
change everything and move everything around.
I just want,
So it's a no-go zone for good reason.
I just want it to look visually nice or visually organized. Anyway.
Okay. And the last question for your episode today is going to be... Oh, that was the last episode. That was the last question, rather. But yes, well, thank you for agreeing to be on the channel.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and maybe we'll see you again soon. We don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. And if you're still watching this, thank you so much. I hope the sound quality has been adequate, to say the least, because it's been a very windy day and quite noisy. Anyway, that's all from us, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Right. Well, I hope you enjoyed Jean's interview there. Darling, people watching probably know quite a lot about you now.
Yeah, I know. They know a lot about me and my childhood and how it was.
And your kind of identity situation.
And actually, I didn't say it then, I think. But since then, I think the movie like K-pop Demon Hunters has become so big.
Oh, yeah.
And I've come across like news articles about the actors and the singers who were part of it, and they are Korean American immigrants. So what they've described is pretty much what I've experienced as well, but here in the UK.
Yeah, like people making fun of your lunch.
Yeah, exactly. And like wanting to hide it and like not being able to really fit in because like people like me weren't on TV, right? So the things that I've seen on TV, it wasn't something I could relate to. So that was quite interesting. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's funny because we talked about Demon Hunters, K-pop Demon Hunters. If you don't know, it's a kind of an animation movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
But we talked about it right when it wasn't even popular or known. It was the first week it came out.
You know what? I think it kind of started from like last summer, like after we came back and I was kind of teaching in schools, and I heard these little year ones, year twos singing Korean, the Blackpink member Rose's APT, but the chorus is in Korean, right? So it was so strange hearing this kid just singing from the top of her lungs, just like belting it out, like like mid class. But I was kind of startled because at first I wasn't expecting it, and second it was in Korean, so it was an interesting experience. Yeah.
Is this the bonus material?
Must be. I think so.
Well, if you're here watching the bonus material, we need to give them what they want, darling.
All right. Okay.
How did we meet?
All right. So we met during